Imagine being taken off the streets, locked away, and forced to work like a slave in a system designed to crush you. It sounds like the deadly games in Squid Game, doesn't it? But this isn't a fictional show. It really happened in South Korea during the 1980s. Let's uncover the horrifying truth behind the brothers' home, a real-life nightmare that inspired parts of Squid Game. In Squid Game, we see desperate people trapped in a brutal system. The brothers' home was eerily similar. In the 1980s, thousands of people in South Korea were rounded up and sent to labor camps like this one. What happened inside was a real-life nightmare: forced labor, abuse, and even death. South Korea in the 1980s was preparing for the 1988 Seoul Olympics, a chance to show the world its success. But just like the VIPs in Squid Game wanted a clean, controlled spectacle, the South Korean government didn't want visitors to see poverty or chaos on the streets. Under President Chun Doo-hwan, police began removing homeless people, orphans, and poor workers. Thousands were sent to facilities like the brothers' home. Many weren't criminals. They were just poor, sick, or unlucky. Once taken, they had no choice but to endure what came next, just like the players in Squid Game. Inside the brothers' home, the system was rigged against you, much like in Squid Game. People were forced to work long hours in factories, on farms, or making goods that were sold for profit. They weren't paid, and they couldn't leave. The conditions were brutal. People slept in overcrowded, dirty rooms, were barely fed, and had no medical care. Guards beat them regularly, and even children were forced to work and endure the abuse. Just like in Squid Game, survival came at a high cost. Hundreds of people reportedly died from abuse, starvation, or untreated illnesses. For many, the brothers' home became a death sentence. The horrors of the brothers' home stayed hidden for years, much like the deadly games in Squid Game. But in the late 1980s, survivors and journalists began speaking out. Investigations revealed that the government had funded these camps, claiming they were helping people, but in reality, they were exploiting them for profit. The director of the brothers' home was arrested, but many survivors felt justice wasn't fully served. To this day, some are still fighting for recognition and compensation, much like how the Squid Game survivors struggled to move on. The brothers' home is a dark chapter in South Korea's history, echoing the themes of Squid Game: a rigged system, abuse of power, and the suffering of the most vulnerable. While South Korea has moved forward, the scars of these events remain. What do you think about this story? Do you see the connection to Squid Game? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story important, like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching Sinister Stories. Stay curious and stay safe.